And we attend this meeting so we stay up to date with what's going on in our neighborhood.
Great. And you're sort of kind of, we've got a lot of people from Kelsey Glen, but hopefully we can count you as Kelsey Glen.
Yes.
Yeah, Jack
all
Ross
right.
is here too.
Mel, are you there?
I'm here. Yes, Mel Renner. I'm the HOA president of the Forest Pond community for about 19 years now. I've been attending the Derita meetings for many years as well, and I'm a new board member.
Not new anymore. It's been a year or two.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Natalie.
Good morning. I'm in the Nevins community. And
Welcome.
us just want to know what's going on.
Well, we're glad to see you here.
Thank-
Let's see who's next. Oh my gosh. Trying to scroll on the screen. Okay, let's see. Danielle. Danielle Myers. I don't know if she's there. Jack, we're doing introductions, if you didn't know.
Good morning, Jack Brosh. I am a computer consultant specializing in crystal reports and database administration work. Came here in '98 and I've been on the board since 1999. And that's about it.
And for those who don't know, that's the Derita Statesville Road Community Organization Board. John, is that John Haig?
This is Jonathan Hoyt,
Hoyt?
and I'm a neighbor here in Allen Hills, and been here since '92.
Thank you. Good to see you. Karen Meadows. I'm not sure if you're staff or not.
Well, hello, how are you doing? I live in the Devon Gate community. I am a CMS school administrator, so I normally cannot come to these meetings because I'm in the building with children. However, I'm glad to be able to be here today.
Great. Thank you for coming. Oh gosh, and the order's changing on me. Let's see, Carrie Miller.
Hi, good morning. I'm calling in from Avalon at Mallet Creek. I'm on the HOA as treasurer. I am a community advocate, and I am here to learn about what's going on. And I try to get here as much as possible. And I am a huge advocate for neighborhood preservation.
All right, Marion McMahon.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Marion McMahon. I'm a board member and resident of the Michaels Landing community, which is just off of the University City Extension. And yeah, I just always come to learn more and try to participate the best I can and help with what's going on in Derita. Thank you.
David Oliver.
Yes, I'm the HOA president in the Oak Hill community. That's off of Sugar Creek, not too far from the Derita area. And like others have stated, just wanted to kind of learn a few different things that can be beneficial to help us in our community.
Oh, thank you. So Oak Hill, you said?
Yes, Oak Hill.
All right. I'm just blanking on where that is.
It's near the football field, the Derita football field area, right off of Sugar Creek.
Oh, okay. Yes. Great. Thank you. Well, I'm glad to see you here. All right. I'm trying to. Danielle Myers, are you with us? Trying to see who else is here on my list. I think I've gotten everybody. Anybody not introduced who's not on city staff? Oh, hang on, we've got some people in the waiting room. Two Nadines.
I'm sorry, this is Danielle.
Danielle, hey Danielle. Why don't
Hey.
you-
Hello.
Hey, we can hear you. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Danielle Myers. I stay in the Avalon neighborhood, and I've been in the neighborhood for about maybe going on 3 years now.
Awesome, welcome.
Thank you.
Sylvia has just joined us. I don't know if she's
I'm
connected.
here.
Hey Sylvia, we're just finishing introductions. Let us know, for those who don't know, who you are.
Oh, I'm Sylvia Cannon, head of the Derita Statesville Road Community Group and also head of Allen Hills, Gary Hills Community.
Thank you, welcome. And Nadine. Are you there, Nadine?
I am. I had a little technical problem this morning getting in. I apologize.
Oh, no worries. I've got my fair share of technical problems. We're just finishing up introductions, so you're in good shape.
Okay, my name is Nadine Henry. I live in Sugar Springs community. I'm an event planner, and I enjoy being a part of the Derita Businessmen Association or Business Person Association.
Great. All right, folks. I just have one agenda item, then I'm going to hand it over to the city to tell us all about the Sugar Creek thing and Sugar Creek Playbook process. So the first thing I just want to say, we're going to surprise Sylvia again, but we had a great celebration for Sylvia's birthday, and I just wanted to thank everybody that helped make it work. And
Yes.
I just put a couple of pictures.
Teresa.
I know, it was the best feeling. I swear everybody just wanted to surprise Sylvia and get one over on her. So we had a lot of cooperation and it was great. So I hope you enjoyed that. And here's to the next 80.
I hope.
Thank you. All right. I am Rachel. I think you should be able to take it away, share your screen, but I'm not sure how this works.
Let's see. I think you might have to stop sharing for me to be able.
Oh, okay. I will stop. Yes. There we go.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good start to the Thursday. I'm just going to pull up a screen of a PowerPoint. And while we're getting started, my name is Rachel Stark. I am a senior urban designer and landscape architect for the city of Charlotte. I work with a few of the folks who are on this call today, and so I'm going to introduce them in a second. I just want to make sure you guys can all see my screen okay. I'm trying to make it so that it's presentation mode. Maybe alert. There we go. Can everyone see the screen okay?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Rachel.
yes. Sorry, Rachel, I just muted you because I muted everyone and I didn't know how to accept you, but you should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, got it now. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, I hear you, Rachel.
Perfect. So today I was just going to briefly introduce you to the W.Sugar Creek Corridor Playbook work that we're going to be doing over in that area, stretching from Nevin to the north and North Tryon to the south. It's a long stretch. And really what this playbook is, it's a strategic action plan for implementing public projects. So it's not just an open-ended vision process. So with today's agenda, I want to first kick it off and introduce everyone else. I hope everyone was able to hear my introduction, or senior urban designer with the land and landscape architect for the city of Charlotte. Grant Miyachi, do you want to say hi, unmute yourself and say hi so everyone can see you?
Hey everyone, I think I've joined you on one of these calls before, a couple calls before. Good to see everyone again.
Yeah, thank you. And so Grant Miyachi did the playbook process over in on West Boulevard. So he is the guru on what this looks like and what to expect. Jacob Huffman, are you on the call? Can you unmute yourself, wave and say hi?
Morning, everyone.
Jacob is going to be my right-hand person on this process as assistant project manager. We also have Aaron Gillespie. Are you on the call? Can you unmute and say hi? She might not be on just yet. Well, Erin Gillespie will be joining shortly. She is in the Economic Development Department, and she's leading up the market study portion of the work. And Randy Harris, do you want to unmute yourself and say hi? I'm sure a lot of folks know you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Randy Harris, and I work in the Housing and Neighborhood Services Department, but I work in community engagement, that division. I'm the Northwest Service Area Community Engagement Division Manager. So, you know, our creed and our job is to support you all to achieve and have a successful and a safe and engaging community. And we do that in many ways by supporting the Neighborhood Matching Grant Program, the KCB program. Also, we work with members to bring neighborhood presidents and your boards into neighborhood board retreats. And also we manage the neighborhood organization list. So it's great to be here today.
Thanks, Randy. And then Aisha.
Good morning, everyone. I also work in the Community Engagement Division of Housing and Neighborhood Services with Randy Harris, and I serve as your Northwest Community Engagement Liaison. So good morning, good to see everyone.
Thank you. And I believe Nicole's also on. Nicole, do you want to quickly just unmute yourself and say hi too?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole Story, the manager of the Community Engagement Division, and I'm just here to lend support and cheer y'all on.
Thanks, Nicole. So if anyone wants to take a screenshot so you have everybody's email, feel free. You're welcome to do that. And of course, this is being recorded, and Teresa can share our email addresses afterwards as well. But the other things we're going to talk about today, the primary thing is corridor playbook purpose and expectations. And then we're going to talk about corridor input and engagement and why it's very important for this process. And then we'll land on questions and answers. Also, Erin, I don't know if everyone saw, but Erin Gillespie is on the call, but she wasn't able to unmute herself. So hopefully when we get to the portion where she's talking.
I think I'm good now. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi. Hi, Erin.
Okay. Whew. Hi, I'm Erin, Economic Development, and I can talk more about my role here when we get to that point.
Perfect. Thank you, Erin. All right, so I just want to give a little bit of background. So last summer, well, actually at the beginning of last year already, 2020, we were approached in the Urban Design Center to bring together some work thinking about economic development, housing and neighborhood services, but also just looking at what redevelopments needed to holistically address some of the issues that were seen in the Sugar Creek I-85 interchange area. There's high crime numbers, and it's just a priority corridor or priority area for investment to happen. And so we had a really quick 3-month design sprint with some of the key stakeholders in that area along Reagan Drive, Equipment Drive. A lot of it was businesses and property owners in that area, but also organizations who are doing work with hotel residents in that area. So quick turnaround quick turnaround timeline for this work, but a few projects were identified that the group wanted to see move forward, and the things that we saw as priorities to get done first are the things that are highlighted in red. As you see, number 2 here says create a Sugar Creek Corridor Playbook to guide redevelopment, and that's what we're here talking about today. And I'm talking to you about it because it extends the geography for this co-creation of work and projects and investment for the city, from beyond being just about the interchange to include Derita and Hidden Valley Farm Crest areas. So again, it's, I'm gonna actually show in a second, I'm gonna show the geography. I thought I'd put it right after this, but apparently I didn't. But you can also see some of the other projects that came out of that process. A lot of them are focused primarily on the interchange area. So let me just also talk about the corridors of opportunity. So the funding for the work coming out of the Sugar Creek Playbook, the Sugar Creek I-85 design sprint, and what will come out of the playbook process. The intent is to be action projects. They're intended to be things that we can do, not necessarily within just a very short time frame of 6 months to a year, but looking honestly at what can we get started on now that helps us achieve long-term vision. So there's 4 different departments who are involved in corridors of opportunity and who are investing funding. This past year of 2020, 2021, there was $24.5 million invested in corridors of opportunity. There are 6 corridors. These include West Boulevard, which I was mentioning earlier, had a playbook. We also have Beatty's Ford Road. We also have Albemarle. Albemarle will also go through a playbook process, but they're starting off a couple months after we are, and Aaron Gillespie is the project manager on that process. We also have North Tryon and Graham Street area, and Freedom and Wilkinson. So 6 corridors. That the 24.5 million sounds like a lot, but it does go very quickly. As we've discovered, for example, sidewalk projects take a lot of money. But these are just an example of the types of projects that each of these departments would fund. Obviously, you probably all know about neighborhood matching grants. There's also neighborhood board retreats and trainings that Randy and Aisha can speak about. With economic development, Aaron can speak a little bit more about that, but there's loans, business matching grants, and just general assistance of coordinating city support for development. And then planning is what we're in urban design. We have placemaking, we have work around land use and zoning and permitting. And then of course, Department of Transportation. I think a lot of you are familiar with the NC, North Carolina Department of Transportation, which they manage and maintain W.Sugar Creek, North Tryon, Reagan, Equipment, Graham, and Mallard Creek. So in this area, they control a lot of the streets, but having CDOT at the table will help us and get some of the investment you guys might like to see in this area. So a corridor playbook is it's a process rooted in the community. It's really a co-creation work. What we've seen is that it doesn't work if the city's like, oh, well, we've looked at some data and this is where we think we need to invest. And then they just go and invest because it might not align with what the community wants to see or prioritize as what needs to happen. So with this process, we're looking at holistic engagement, making sure that we're inclusive, that we're hearing what folks have to say and what folks have said in the past, and that we're building upon work that's been done in the past. And leveraging opportunities. Sorry, I might have a window blocking you guys. We also want to make sure that we're thinking about inclusive economic impact, that we're balancing the benefits and some of the burden of growth that happens. We also want to make sure that we're actually changing the physical. We don't want it to just be programmatic and something that you can't see, that's not very tangible. We want projects that come out of this to be actionable, and we also want to make sure that we're identifying partners, because some things are things that we can do as a city, but some things are not our role as a city. But there are partners who can help us get this done. If you would like to check out the West Boulevard Corridor Playbook, just to understand what was done over there and how that led to some of the investment that's going on now with corridors of opportunity, it is available on the city website, and I can drop in the link later. And I just want to quickly touch on the geography. So like I said, with the initial work, it was a design sprint over 3 months, and it was focused right around the interchange, Reagan Drive, Equipment Drive, and W.Sugar Creek and I-85. So this area, the stakeholders there were actually the folks who said we should be extending this geography because this whole area has a shared future. It is a large area. It covers a little over 3 miles. And really predominantly we'll be looking at investments that we can do along the corridor itself, but it also obviously will influence the neighborhoods immediately surrounding Sugar Creek, and we want to make sure these folks are at the table and part of this process. We have a little snapshot of who is in this area. This is pulled from the Quality of Life Explorer, just a snapshot from mostly 2018, some 2016 data of understanding how many housing units, what's the employment like, what's the demographics like, et cetera. And where are we at on this playbook process? So we have a little document. If you would like to take a look at it, I'm happy to send it out of what a typical corridor process looks like. we've started to do some of the initial work, just the project initiation in terms of figuring out that we're going to do a project here, making sure we understand what our past studies and plans and vision documents say, and also looking at understanding the scope of what we can achieve. And obviously we know what all the different departments will bring with the quarters of opportunity work. And now we're getting into the start of phase 2, which is going to take approximately 6 or 7 months. And we're looking right now at starting this real estate market assessment because we want to make sure that our vision is rooted in what's really achievable, and making sure that we understand the barriers to what's achievable and therefore what strategies we might need to employ to make it achievable. And then also just understanding issues of opportunities of this area. So now I'm going to kick it over to Aaron Gillespie, and hopefully you all can see the screen.
Okay, so part of the playbook process will be conducting 2 assessments related to economic development, and these are meant to support the findings of the playbook and also help guide the recommendations and some of the projects that'll come out of the playbook. So, you know, I think what's interesting in the data that Rachel pulled together is that there's 11,000 jobs in the study area and about 30,000 folks living in that area. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of, you know, talent, people looking for jobs, maybe even entrepreneurs and small business owners. So we traditionally, with the playbooks, we will conduct a real estate market analysis. And so that's looking at those main industries. It's looking at what's existing, what are those 11,000 jobs, who are the major employers, what are the major developments that have occurred in the corridor area, and then what are the trends? So where is it going? Are there more jobs coming in? Are we losing jobs? Are we losing places of employment? And then it'll also look defining the trade areas for retail, hospitality, office, and multifamily residential. So you know, where are people traveling from to get to the businesses that are located on the Sugar Creek Corridor? This is all also going to build off of the work that we did in support of the design sprint. So that was working with that small group of stakeholders, looking at the interchange at 85, looking at those businesses, which of course is a lot of hotels, and building off the stakeholder list there. So we know that we have about 20 or so businesses, hotel property owners, retail business owners that were engaged or involved in that work. And so we'll build off of that list to create a more comprehensive list of business and commercial stakeholders. Obviously, you know, we haven't worked as much recently in the Derita business district, but I'm really looking forward to getting more involved and learning more about some of the commercial opportunities that are there. And then another important part of the market analysis will be identifying the key nodes and then also future development opportunities. So telling us where are places where city investment could really be leveraged and take the district farther. What are the things that, you know, the residents, the business owners, the property owners want to see happen, and how can we help influence that in a positive direction? And then a new aspect of our economic development analysis for the playbook will be adding another assessment layered in, looking at the small business ecosystem. So what are the opportunities for small businesses or entrepreneurs who are living and working in the West Sugar Creek Corridor? Looking at our 3 main you know, nodes of activity. So the Derita area, Sugar Creek right at 85, and then closer into North Tryon. We'll identify the resource partners. So who's providing resources specifically for businesses in this area? Or maybe what are the barriers to providing resources? And what are the needs of those small businesses? And then our small business team will also dive into the details of, the small businesses that get engaged in this assessment. Where are they in the stage of their business? Do they have succession plans? So that as their business matures and grows, are they prepared to, continue that legacy, making sure that they have the full support and resources that they need at every step along the way. So those are the things that we'll be looking at in support of the playbook. A really important aspect of this will be understanding who are the businesses, who are the business owners, who are the property owners, who are the folks who are really involved and active in the Derita area right now. What are the businesses that you visit that you want to make sure are protected and supported? So those are the questions that we'll have consultants working on both of these. Those are the questions they'll be asking. One thing that we're happy to start doing though is help populate that list. So if you have any thoughts, or if you're a business owner yourself and you want to participate, go ahead and drop that business name in the chat and I'll just jot them down so that we sort of, our consultants can hit the ground running. Or as you're thinking about it after the call, feel free to email me. I should have put my email on this slide again. Feel free to reach out via email with those business names so that we can make sure they're included in the process.
Cool.
And I will say, I know we mentioned earlier sort of the existing economic development programs that we have. We do have our business matching grant program, which is something we'd love to see be utilized more in this area. So those are grant funds available for businesses or property owners who are making physical improvements to their space. And then, another key aspect of the playbook is those opportunities that come out, project ideas. They can grow into public-private partnerships with the city, so we can get a little bit more involved and invest a little bit more in those projects that come out of the playbook process. So that's sort of another at the tail end, what it'll look like for us.
Cool, thank you.
That's what I've got.
I appreciate it. And I know that for the Derita folks, especially just based off of the previous conversations, I was out in Derita a couple of years ago or so, talking about the comp plan, the Charlotte Future 2040 plan. And Teresa, this is obviously pre-COVID, but Teresa gave me a great tour of Derita and some of the concerns and issues. And I know because of NCDOT's work, it took so long that impacted some of the small businesses in the area. And so I know that's a really important thing as we consider moving forward of how can we advance, how can we work together in this work. So thank you, Erin, for joining us to talk about that part of the playbook process. I'm going to just briefly talk about some of what to expect in terms of time frame. We're going to kick off this work on the 29th of April, really. So that's going to be a public meeting. We could use your help in helping get the word out about this session. It will be recorded because we know that not everyone can attend an online meeting for various reasons. We also are going to open it up for approximately 4 weeks after the session to make sure that both the recording is available, but that we have an online survey to complement some of the inputs that folks are able to give on the 29th. But we also want to make sure there's opportunities for safe, COVID-19 safe in-person events that where we're really relying on some of our partners to figure out what that looks like. And then we'll give input. We can give input of like, well, that doesn't make us feel comfortable potentially, but we want to be as open as possible to make sure that there's that opportunity for folks who aren't going to be plugging in online and working with partners such as you on figuring out what that looks like. So during this time frame, we're really just finalizing some of the project scope. So this is an opportunity today to give a little bit of feedback and input on what that should look like, making sure that expectations are clear, looking at how do we expand our participation in this, because we have done a lot of work over the Sugar Creek area, but it wasn't a true public process. It was one that was about key stakeholders because it was a very, very quick process. This is a little bit longer. It's going to last for, like I said, 6 or 7 months. Right now, these meetings times that are in bold are tentative week timeframes where we might have those 2 other public meetings. So late June, we would be looking at having the second meeting. It's the second opportunity to give input and to look at what's been done to date and give feedback on that to inform the final version of the work. And then in September, we would have a celebration. So that wouldn't be as much of an input time, but a celebration of here's the projects that were identified through the process and what's going to be invested in through the quarters of opportunity work. So just briefly about the public kickoff meeting. Right now, we're aiming for April 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. It would have informational content through a presentation. We'll be sharing again a little bit more about the design sprint results and why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing. We'll talk about the playbook process and quarters of opportunity funding system, and then we'll talk about the general market context, real estate market assessment, small business ecosystem process, like Erin was just talking about, as well as just a quick snapshot of what's going on in the area, looking at some of the maps that we have already in place. Then we're going to have interactive engagement. We can do breakout rooms in Zoom, and we can use an online whiteboard to do work together so that we have that opportunity to really engage and give feedback and facilitate small group discussions. And then we'll have, like I said, we're going to record the session. We're going to make sure that the online questionnaire is open for 4 weeks, and we're going to work with partners for COVID-19 safe in-person interactions and presentations. So the playbook process kickoff meeting, like I said, we're aiming for 6 p.m. on the 29th. We have a registration that's open now. So I can send this out to you after we are done. We also have an opportunity for you to text. If you want to get updates on the corridor, you can text I-85 to 73224, and that will automatically put you into the listserv so that you get updates along the way. So the invitations are going to go through there, updates and more. So that's just an easier way so you don't have to go through just touching base with us at the beginning, especially. What will happen is once you text that number, once we get it plugged in, you're going to get an invitation to the meeting invite, and then you can click and you can register for the event that way. Or you can just register because I'm going to share you the link shortly. We have some materials in Spanish and English. We are going to have flyers that we can print off. So if you would like to have flyers for your community, or we also are going to make some yard signs. So if you would like to have a yard sign in your yard to encourage your neighbors to participate, or if you have a business that you either own or you know the owner really well who would be willing to put this up along the Sugar Creek corridor in a way that we really get the word out there and increase participation in this process so that we don't go through all this work and then in the end there's people who are saying that they wanted to participate but they didn't know about it. Like, let's try to be up at the beginning, making sure we're out there. And then the other thing that we are looking for some input on an opportunity for folks on this call, or maybe folks that you know in your community who want to get more engaged and involved in identifying opportunities in the area. We're going to do individualized, so not as a group, but it's self-led walking or driving or desktop tour to understand the area. Again, we'll have a little information session on April 8th at 2 different times. So people can choose which time works better for them. And I'll drop these links into the chat in a little bit. But the opportunity is to go through this session, understand what's going, what the process is, and that you can do something to feed into the 29th meeting when we go into those breakout sessions. So with that, we will do Q&A. I'm going to close out the screen and drop things in the chat. And if you have any questions, I would love to hear. All right, I just dropped the different registration links into the chat box. So the top one is for the public meeting on the 29th. The other 2 are for the meetings on the 8th. If you would like to participate in informing some of that information that will go into the initial public meeting on the 29th. Was that very self-explanatory? Erin, good job. No questions.
I'm sure there must be questions. I would like you to explain just a little bit more about the input that you were just talking about. I know we'll learn about it on April 8th, but I think if people understand better how we can contribute, that will be, we'll get more people signing up to do that.
Definitely. So with the work that we need ahead of the meeting on the 29th, a standard process might be that the city looks at their maps and the city might go do a drive-through, and we as a city might say, hey, there's the opportunity for CDOT to do X, Y, and Z here. There's the opportunity for placemaking here. Like we could go through and do that work, and that's kind of like a standard way that sometimes happens. However, I think based on my experience, it really works better when people who live in that community, who've seen that issue over and over and over again, are the ones coming with those ideas at the very beginning. So with that input session, basically over 1 week's time frame or 10 days maximum, we'd be looking at having individuals, like I said, they can either walk a segment for all of you in Derita. It would be walking or driving or doing a desktop, like a Google Earth tour, taking snapshots of areas and saying, this is an area where there's a pedestrian safety issue, or this is an area where I think bikes are using safe right now, or it could be improved a little bit. It could be looking at, maybe there's blank signal boxes, and you know that there's a signal box wrap opportunity where you can put art on those signal boxes and beautify it. And so you might take a picture of a signal box. You can also be identifying opportunities, just like looking at some of the data on some of the maps that we have available and say, look, this is an area where we have more renters than homeowners. We need some programs that help support the renters to become homeowners. And for that, we have programs like the down payment assistance program. So those are just some examples of what we do. And basically what we would be looking for is for folks to kind of understand what the Corridors of Opportunity project can fund, which is a pretty large number of projects. Or a large variety of projects, I should say. But from there, taking it from understanding what can be done and just knowing the corridor of here's where either this is a really unique and beautiful place that I want to preserve or see elevated, or this is an area where there's an opportunity for improvement. So those would be the two kinds of things that we'd be looking for through everyone to do on their own time over a 7 to 10 day period after the 8th.
Okay, thank you. And the focus is really closer to Sugar Creek?
That would be the focus. But I mean, for example, some of these projects like the neighborhood matching grants, those are internal to me. It wouldn't be unless the neighborhood funds it, sponsors it to be on the corridor. It's typically something that's the neighborhood's running. But for example, some of the down payment assistance program, that would be more on to the neighborhood side. So there's some things that can definitely go into the neighborhood that are the neighborhoods that are surrounding Sugar Creek. But for example, a lot of the things we might want to do is understand that Sugar Creek corridor, what really needs to be fixed, amended, made safer. But it can go off a little bit into the edges as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking just in terms of people supporting the businesses downtown, you know, if it was an issue of walking, being able to walk, there's a lot, you know, that is geographically close enough to walk, but maybe not safe or pleasant or etc. So
yeah,
things like that. I saw a question in the chat about CATS, transportation stops, and that I'm pretty sure that would be included as a.
Yeah, so they're doing the Envision My Ride. You guys might have remembered that from a couple of years ago, but CATS is doing a little bit of work, They were doing a lot of work in the community to better understand some of the needs and issues around the bus system, but they're going through the second phase of that work now. So I think that's something we can definitely take forward to CATS and say, like, here's an area where there's a gap in service. And obviously, like, CDOT can help us also figure out improvements for bus stops, which is something that we're doing over in West Boulevard. That was a big identified need, is that you have the sidewalk right next to a very busy street, and then there's a stand for the bus stop, and that's it. Like, there's no place to sit. It's a narrow sidewalk. During COVID-19 times, it feels unsafe to be standing there with people walking by. So those sorts of things were considered over at the West Boulevard area. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Are you guys excited about this or not so much? What are the opportunities that you guys see with this? How would you like to finesse some of the scope that we talked about to achieve some of the goals that you would see for the area?
Yeah, hi. So I like the idea, and I appreciate the efforts being made to clean up the corridor. Yeah, I'm just hoping for some better, like you said, business opportunities. You know, we love Derita Dairy Bar. Maria's is some folks' favorites. But, you know, other than that, like, there's nowhere to go to post up and work. I would love to be able to walk to downtown Derita or the center of Derita and not have to worry about getting shot at the ATM, or, you know, love to go somewhere and take my laptop and work and get out the house. There's nowhere in this area for that. So I'm just hoping that, you know, I'm hoping that could be somewhere in scope where we're talking about, you know, like coffee shops or, you know, the grab and go situation, and not just another Dollar General, Family Dollar situation where not contributing to the neighborhood at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that ties really well to the market, real estate market assessment that we'll be doing as part of the playbook process, understanding what the desires are of the community and what are some of the easy fits and what are the things that will need more work and strategy around to make it work.
Good morning, Jack.
That's exactly the kind of, oh, go ahead.
I'd like to thank you for your presentation. I think one of the issues that we have in the concept of a downtown Derita area is continuity of storefronts. And I think we've had some problems with some of the landowners hoping the red line was going to come through and holding off on any kind of property improvement along that area, as well as continuity of store types, having mixed retail where somebody can come downtown and hit 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 shops in a single trip. So I think that's something that you might want to consider, is overcoming the psychology of I don't know how to put it really, but lack of investment going forward. I think that's something that you may run into. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are y'all working with the police department in getting, what's the word, cleaned up or more patrols to make this a safer area? Because putting sidewalks in is absolutely necessary, and all the walking would improve if it was safe to walk. The problem you've got is that corridor at 85 and Sugar Creek touches 3 different divisions. So when you call the police on something, you don't know who you're getting or if you're getting any help at all. And businesses are not going to invest, and that is detrimental to the area simply because of the lack of, I won't say lack of police, because I'm very supportive of the police, but it's a lack of crossing jurisdictions. We need something done in the way of working with the police to make 85 a delimiter for one side or the other instead of crossing over. It's really a mess with the police. And I would love to see businesses come out here, but with the amount of activity that goes on up there, that is not the best in the world. You're not going to get people to walk. You're not going to get investors. Without investors, we can't grow. So I think it's really getting more than just your groups involved. I think we need to get the red line going. We need to get better delimiters for the cops. And we need that area cleaned up, protected, so that we can get businesses out here. Because you're not going to get anybody walking, investing, or anything else to make that area grow and all the way into Derita without their help.
Yeah, well, and that's precisely why we started with our work right at 85 in Sugar Creek, because that is a hot spot for a lot of different activity. It's not just a local activity thing, it is a regional activity thing. People coming in from DC, Atlanta, Florida. It's a point that people use because it's right off of the interstate. So we started that's why we started with the design sprint, so that we could focus a little bit on that of what needs to happen now and where are we trying to get towards. And some of the advantage of this work that we're doing with the design, with the playbook, is that with the market study, we can better understand, for example, what is the right number of hotels. I think a lot of folks feel that there are too many cheap hotels right there, cheap hotel rooms right there. And that feeds into some of the issues that we see over in that area. But having the data is always a helpful thing, and figuring out, well, what does this transfer into? What is this most likely to transfer into? Understanding some of those market trends is really important. So I think that is one key aspect to the 85 interchange area, because we started there knowing that it impacts Hidden Valley, it impacts Farmcrest, it impacts North Tryon, it impacts Derita. So those are some of the things that we were definitely mindful of how we were approaching this process, is starting at the point that often is like the hardest point, honestly, and so we worked very closely with CMPD in that area, and I'm sure those conversations and work together will continue. Any other questions or comments? We're almost out of time.
I'd just like to say one thing. I've participated in a lot of processes like this over the years, as a lot of people on this call who've given input. And despite having done all that, I think there's one question that we've yet to answer, and I know there are no good answers to this, is how do we have a desirable neighborhood that is pedestrian friendly, that people want to come to, that doesn't wind up displacing most of our neighbors? This area takes a lot of the burden of affordable housing from the rest of the city that has been unwilling to take it. And we have a lot of NOAA here. And when I hear corridors of opportunity, I know it is just a matter of time before a lot of that goes away. So one thing I would want to focus on is, I absolutely agree. There's some things that need to be cleaned up. We need to have it being not just in multiple police districts, but also being in 2 different city council districts really puts us at a disadvantage of being able to have anything cohesive as a neighborhood, despite the fact that we all identify as one community. So I would really want to be able to talk about, how do we do these things in a way that doesn't wind up in a few years having a turnover of half of our community because they simply can't afford to be here anymore. And I'll speak for, my neighbors, and I'm not talking about people in affordable housing. I'm talking about people who are in just the regular market. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be an ongoing concern of balancing both the fact that we need more housing in the city, but it's just, at the end of the day, we're running out of land. And I know our community is one of the last places in the city where you can come to have an affordable place to live, or reasonable, and that's quickly going away. So I would just want that to be something we talk about as we talk about improvements, which I very much want. But I think we would be amiss to say, if we do these things, there will be a price to some of our community as we do them, and we need to be conscious of that. Thank you.
Thank you. No, that's, I'll say that Derita and the Sugar Creek corridor overall is not unique in that aspect. I live off of Beatty's Ford Road, and so it's just off of one of those corridors of opportunity. We have similar concerns and issues in our community as well. Same with West Boulevard, same in North Tryon, North Graham area. So it's not unique, and it's a challenge, and it's one where I think a lot of us can see both sides of the coin. So that's just something that we have to keep in mind. And luckily, Charlotte's kind of advanced in some of the tools that we do have to offer. But I think one of the things that we always need help on is making sure we can connect some of those resources. For example, the down payment assistance program to get people out of rental and to owning their homes, making sure that people can age in place. So, for example, my dad, like he moved. He's from Hawaii, and he moved back to Charlotte. And it was one of those where we have just under 1,000 square feet. I'm like, well, you can live with us for a little while, but in the end, like, he kind of needs his own space. We need our own space. And so having opportunities like the an accessory dwelling unit is something that we're very interested in, so that we can build an in-law suite basically in our backyard, so that he can live there. I have some friends who do that for their children who moved back from Spain. So there's tools that are out there. I think it's like a couple of things. One is just like there's still additional financing gaps in between, and then also just making sure there's communication of what we have available. All right, we're almost out of time. Are there any last questions or comments? All right.
Sorry, folks, I wanted to say something, but I've got a noise going on here that I can't stop. Thank you so much. Sorry, I don't know.
I saw that while you're doing that, Teresa, David Oliver asked, how can we get information of signs and literature to pass to others? So I'm going to drop my email. Well, I'm going to drop Jacob and I's email in the chat. And between the two of us, we will make sure that Teresa, well, if you email us, we'll email you directly. Otherwise, we'll make sure that Teresa has the information and can pass it on to you. So Jacob W. Huffman at LNC, and then myself.
Do you have a link to your PowerPoint presentation that you can also drop in the chat, please?
I don't have a link, but I can send it to Teresa. Does that work?
That'll work.
All right. So we'll make sure, so we're finalizing some of the flyer and material now. What I would need to know is how many yard signs you need. Obviously, as close to an accurate count as possible would be great for over ordering and littering and contributing to waste. But if you want it for your house and you want it for your business or a business that you know, let us know. And flyers, how many flyers would you need? We can arrange all of that for you. We just need to know how many. All right, Teresa.
All right, great. Thank you so much, everybody. I think we're going to sign off because I've also got another meeting right this second, but we will follow up and look forward to April 8th for that involvement. And thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you all to the city staff that joined. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll just,
Thank you.
I'm not
Thank
going
you,
to cut
Jack.
it off right now if anybody wants to grab things from chat, because I'm not sure how that works. But thank you.
Take
Good to
care.
see
Bye.
everyone.
And take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.